Man, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Tyrone Hunter back in the building with another edition of What's Really Good Entertainment. Appreciate you rocking with me, for all of my subscribers and for all of those that, checking and catch a video here and there, but you ain't locking yet. I still appreciate you. If you checking out my content for the very first time, hit that like button on the way out in the door and hit that subscribe button on the way out the door. You know my motto, you see the topic, I'm not going to hold you. Today we're going to be talking about why people don't speak about depression. So if you're interested in the topic, if you're interested in learning more about what depression is, because a lot of people think they know, but they really don't know, as well as if you want to know why people are not talking about depression, man, stay to the end of the video. Because at the end of the day, I just give you the information. It's up to you to decide what you want to believe. Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to find out what's really good. So for this one, we're trying to find out what's really good for this topic. In addition to that, if you like words of encouragement, positive quotes, you can check out my shorts. I've been posting a lot of morning motivational words of encouragement, so you could check that out in my shorts. I also got some comedy in my shorts as well. But without further ado, let's get into it. So why don't people speak about depression that much? And what is depression? These are two of the things that we're going to be tackling today. And first, we're going to start with what is depression. Okay. Without going into all of the clinical definitions and make this like a, biology class or school lecture, depression is termed as a condition that people experience. Some of the symptoms of it, usually you have an outgoing personality. Then you get to a point like you don't want to be bothered. Usually you have a real lively personality. Then there's days you just don't want to be bothered. And it starts to happen more often than not. It starts to happen more frequently. Just feeling real down about yourself, feeling real bad about yourself, feeling like you're not worthy, feeling like you're not liked or likable. Nobody cares about you. Those are some of the feelings associated with depression. Some people start to speak in a way where, I won't say predicting their death, but they'll start speaking about death a lot, Like a lot of their conversations were centered around death, or they would ask people questions like, well, what would you do if I wasn't here? What would you do, if this happened to me or that happened to me, Some of them, they get to doing drugs real bad, they contemplate suicide, they actually go about committing suicide, Those are some of the traits and symptoms that accompany depression. And those are what you call the visible traits of depression. Then you have those non-visible traits of depression. And this kind of depression is the depression that a lot of people don't classify as depression. So some of those same feelings will come into play, but a person would battle those feelings. Like when they're in front of people, they would still put their game face on. If they out in public, they would still interact, like they usually do. But when they're home, they don't clean up. They don't want to cook. They don't want to have fun. They don't want to laugh. They don't want to joke, barely eating. Just kind of really, really going through it. So, again, that form of depression is like when they're outside, when they're in front of people, they put on their game face, act like everything is good. But when they're home or when they're alone, when they're there by themselves, then they start to exhibit, you know, some of them traits and some of them personalities. But strangely enough is people don't classify it as depression because they don't know it's depression. And, you know, we as a people are always taught, you know, be strong. You know, everybody go through things. You'll get through it. You know, don't worry about it. You strong and all of these things. But that's probably one of the main reasons why people don't talk about it, because from people that we know, we don't or we won't get the help that we really need. So just rather keep it bottled up inside. And, you know, again, we don't know enough about depression because depression is not spoken enough about so that people could understand the signs, the symptoms, you know, what they should do, when they should reach out for help. You know, if people see somebody exhibiting the signs, you know, refer them to somebody, or, you know, kind of ask them some questions to gauge where they at so that they could determine this person is depressed, and then, you know, go about trying to cheer them up or trying to help them. Is necessary because depression is a silent killer. Depression also makes people moody, makes them irritable, makes them violent, makes them resort to drugs that can have an effect on other people. And the kind of drugs that they take, it could kind of alter their personality where they do something crazy. So if anybody been paying attention to what's been going on in New York as of lately, quite a few people have been pushed off the subway tracks. And this is not something new. This is something that happened many a times. If we look on social media, you know, some of these people that be tripping out because of the drugs that they're taking. So depression is one of the things that lead to people doing drugs or indulging a lot of drugs, you know. And another thing that leads to depression is mental health issues. A lot of people been through things in life, you know, and they're strong up until a point, but then they don't know how to cope with it. So, you know, they kind of start going down that slippery slope and they kind of sink into that hole of depression, and it become hard for them to get out. Some people were abused or were in abusive, come from abusive families or were in abusive relationships. You know, a lot of times those people, their life is like a constant battle of, you know, depression going up and down. Some term it anxiety, you know, but anxiety, it kind of relates right back to the depression because it's all part of the cycle. So it's like you have depression, you have anxiety, you have stress, you have abuse. It's like all of these things are part of the same family, and it affects people. Some people are affected by quite a few of those things, and some people are affected by one or two of them. But be that as it may, they're affected by it. And it ultimately leads to mental health issues because it's something that affects the mind. It's something that affects the emotions, which are feelings. And it's definitely something that you should get checked out. Now, the reason why I bring up this topic in conversation is because I experienced depression, right? And strangely enough, I didn't even know that I was depressed. I knew I was off. I knew it was something wrong with me. I knew I wasn't my regular self. But because I'm kind of a strong individual, you know, I'm a fighter. I like for people to know that I'm good. I just used to kind of always brush it off. But there was a point in in time, there was a point in my life where I didn't have no motivation to do nothing. Now, I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't thinking about doing nothing to myself. I wasn't thinking about doing nothing to nobody else. I never resorted to drugs. But my depression came as a result of some major life changes, you know, and some of these things that happened and they transpired in life, it really like made me feel down, you know. It like kind of took a lot of my energy, took a lot of my joy, took a lot of my vibe, you know, to the point where I was doing what I had to do on a regular basis, but I was kind of just existing, you know. I wasn't living, I was kind of existing at that time. And you know, I wasn't smiling a lot, wasn't laughing a lot, wasn't joking a lot. You know, when people wanted to go out and do stuff, I'm like, you know, I'm okay. I'll catch up with y'all later. You know, I wanted to kind of sit and you know, what we would call self-pity. You know, I wanted to be pity. I wanted to feel pity for myself. I wanted to feel sorry for myself, you know. I was down. You know, I wasn't strong mentally or emotionally at that time. And that's kind of what it was. Now, thankfully, I didn't resort to drugs or, you know, expressing kind of my depression. And sadly enough, I didn't even know it was depression. It was like some years later where, you know, I was speaking to somebody and speaking to somebody real dear to me, and they was saying like, yo, it kind of sound like, you know, you was depressed. Because I was explaining to them some of the things that was going on. I was like, what, man, get out of here. I ain't no depressed about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never been depressed. And they like, no, that's the signs and the symptoms. And I'm like, man, get out of here. You know, so I was saying everything to kind of throw the title off of myself, because even though I didn't know much about depression, so I wouldn't have been able to identify it, just hearing the word and the ways or the times that I heard it, it always came across as like something negative, you know, that nobody wanted to be associated with it, or the people that depression was associated with. It was like, you know, it just had a negative vibe about it, and I didn't want that negative vibe to be sitting on me. And plus, you know, me not even knowing that much about depression, I was feeling like people that was depressed were weak, and I didn't want, you know, to be considered weak or to look at myself as being weak. And thankfully, I had that kind of mindset. You know, that I didn't want to be viewed as weak, or I didn't want to be considered weak. So that's probably what helped me, you know, fight it and overcome it, even though, you know, I couldn't identify it occurring within myself. And, you know, yeah, I would say depression is something that we need to speak about more in our, you know, in our social circles, in our friend circles. You know, we need to speak about, you know, some of our mental health issues, you know. We need to speak about like our anxiety, you know. We need to speak about like maybe some of the traumatical things that we experienced in life, because that gives people a better understanding of who we are, how we are, and, you know, why we act the way that we act, or why we don't know how to express feelings and emotions, you know, or why we may be super and hyper emotional, why we may be quick to not want to be bothered, or, you know, not have the same enthusiasm as other people. These conditions are normal. And these are conditions that are also treatable. You may very well be somebody like me who feel you the strongest person in the world and don't realize that you suffering from depression. Everybody is not going to be strong enough to get through it and come out and, go on with life. Some of them is really, really going to affect you, as well as it's going to affect some of your relationships. Stop being scared to talk to people about what you're really going through. I understand we living in a world where, people are shallow for the most part and people don't really have conversations like they used to. But if you call or you consider somebody your friend or you consider somebody close to you, you should be able to speak to them about what you feel and what it is that you're going through. That will let you know if they're your friend or what kind of friends that you have. And if you can't speak to, people that you feel are close to you about it, then seek professional help, Seek professional help, because if you're off balance mentally and emotionally, then your relationships with people are going to be off balance. Your life is going to be off balance. You'll find yourself partying a lot or hanging out a lot or doing drugs a lot, to try to nurse the feeling that you feel, But all that do is make you spend a whole lot of money, and you could get as high as the sky. But one thing for sure and two things for certain, that high is going to wear off. And you're going to have to come back down to reality, and you're going to have to deal with whatever it is that you got going on. So those are some of the reasons why people don't speak about depression, as well as I gave you some reasons why you should speak about it. Don't feel that you're weak because you're depressed or because you have mental health issues or because you experience anxiety. There's medications out there. There's services out there. There's people and places out there that will help you cope with those things, learn strategies, so that you can overcome it and you ultimately could become a stronger person. You actually robbing yourself of life, by not getting certain things treated or getting certain things, looked at. I understand sometimes we don't want to go to no doctor, shrinks and psychiatrists are people that, we feel only can help crazy people. But also keep in mind, they can help you or prevent you from being crazy or getting crazy, doing something crazy, like throwing your life away, throwing your life down the drain or doing something real, real heinous. Doing something that you're not going to be able to reverse the hands of time. So, if you're experiencing any conditions where you don't really feel like yourself, don't be scared to talk to people. Don't be scared to tell people. I know you can't tell everybody your business, but if you have a circle of friends and you don't feel comfortable speaking to them about, some of your deepest and darkest things that you go through and that you experience in life, then what kind of friends do you have? And friends are people that's going to be supportive. Friends are people that's going to help walk with you through whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is you got going on. So that'll give you an idea of the kind of friends you have and whether or not you have friends. Like, people shouldn't joke of certain conditions, because if you going through one of those conditions and you spaz out and black out and just start wailing on everybody, they're going to be like, wow, what happened to you? Like, people going to act surprised like they ain't know. Your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, as well as your physical health is very important. So take it serious, Go get tested. Go get treated. If you're feeling kind of off balance or whatever, go and speak to somebody. Even if you can't speak to people that's close to you, there's always professionals available. You always could call and get a free consultation to talk to somebody. You always can, Google signs and symptoms or go on YouTube and, view some videos just to see if you kind of fit those criteria. Thankfully and fortunately, I didn't have to take no medication. I didn't have to get any counseling. I didn't have to speak to anybody in regards to my particular condition. But that's not the norm, you know. It just so happened to happen like that because I've been through so much in life that I refuse to let anything break me. So, you know, my mind and things are built a little bit different. So I'm thankful for that. And that's the other reason why I share, you know, some of the things that I went through and some of the things that I've been through in life, like in terms of my mother being addicted to drugs, in terms of me being in foster care, you know, in terms of like how I came up in the streets. I share some of those things because a lot of things that we go through in life create us to be the kind of individuals that we are, you know. So I share it for therapy reasons, as well as I hope that it would, you know, be able to help somebody else or help people feel comfortable and like talking about themselves and talking about what they feel and talk about what they go through, because it's real. Whatever you go through, whatever you experience in life is real. Realness is not just only the amount of money that you got, the amount of people that got love for you, the amount of things that you accomplish. You know, if you could fight or if you're going to fight, if you're going to stand up, like those are not the only things real. You know, being real is dealing with reality and being authentic, you know, and not being scared to tell people like, man, listen, I don't feel good today. You know, like I don't feel like myself. I don't know what's going on. You never know. Just you being open, you know, to speaking about what it is that you're dealing with and what it is that you experience. And that will give other people the heart to express the same. And then you will find that y'all will have more genuine and solid relationships. Because nowadays, relationships are just shallow. You know, people only go like surface deep. People don't even really know how to have real conversations. People don't want to let people really get inside them and, you know, and find out the kind of person that they really are. Because then they think people ain't going to like them or people going to view them. People not going to look at them the same. But so long as you love you, it don't matter if nobody else love you. You know, so long as you comfortable with you, it don't matter if nobody else comfortable with you. You know, being real with ourselves and being real about what we experience, what we feel, it's necessary that we express that, because when we address those things, we can grow and continue to address other things, you know, in our lives that affect us so that we can become the best possible us. That's for another topic. That's for another situation. But if you stay to the end of the video, man, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, you know, listening to hear the information, because this is what it's about. We trying to find out what's really good. All of these shootings, all of these killings, all of these people that's committing some of these heinous crimes, like dudes is killing females and kids, and, you know, these kids are going missing, people getting chopped up and their bodies left in all of these different places. Those are not normal behaviors. Those are not normal actions. And when people commit certain crimes like that, that's what lets you know it's an imbalance within them. It could be depression. It could be mental health issues. It could be them suffering from anxiety, and whatever those conditions are led them to do drugs, you know, and led their feelings to becoming of such that they couldn't control. And then they just exploded and lashed out on somebody. And now you got innocent people getting hurt and you got innocent people getting killed. So we can no longer brush under the table, you know, these conditions. We have to address it. We have to be willing to face them and address it and get some help for it. Because if you don't get help, it's going to continue to be, you know, these killings and these deaths and people going postal and shooting up all of these different places. And like, you don't want that. You know, you don't want to be a victim, as well as you don't want to be the one that's committing those acts. Because you could be a victim of somebody that's experiencing that, or you could also be the one that committed the acts, and now you're sitting in jail for the rest of your life, wishing that you would have went and got some help, you know? So, man, let's be more real about how and what we feel. Let's be more open to talking about what we feel, whether people want to hear it or not. because we have to be concerned about ourselves and our state of being, even if other people are not. And yeah, man, if you experience depression, if you know somebody that's experienced depression, you know, you could put that in the comment section. Don't be scared to lend a hand. You know, don't be scared to be there for somebody that's going through something, because you never know if you may be the one in the future that's going through something. Man, continue to love each other, appreciate each other, respect each other, and let's build each other instead of destroy each other, because that's what's really good. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Tyrone Hunter, what's really good entertainment.